So I see that candy is literally the most popular category of strains at the moment. Everyone wants gelato, everyone wants Skittles, everyone wants this, everyone wants that, just because of the taste. And I understand it is great to be able to get a strain of weed that is going to taste almost like candy. It is amazing and it is wild that a natural plant can do this, but what strains are actually officially candy and what strains actually would be categorized as candy? I'm not going to be throwing in all of the different variations of Runts or even LCG at all. So if that makes sense to you, then let's move forward. Starting off with number 1, we have gelato. Gelato is actually a cross of Sunset Sherbet times Thin Mint cookies. This one right here is definitely candy. This one right here is going to be very interesting because there is a lot of phenotypes of it. There's the 33, which is definitely candy. It is by far the best candy in my opinion. I'm going to say that and Skittles have a lot of competition, so we could already just say Skittles is on the list as well, but let's keep going with gelato. Gelato 33 is just impressive how sweet and how great it tastes. It's a amazing tasting strain, and it's much different from the 41, where the 41 is sweet but has a lot of gas to it. It's definitely more gassy, and it's probably leaning a little bit more to that Thin Mint side, but it's definitely a great strain, and it definitely deserves this spot on this list, which leads us on to number 2, which I just mentioned. It is Skittles. Skittles is actually a cross of the grape ape and grapefruit. It is definitely a strain that somewhat gives off this lime grape candy like taste that is just amazing. So let's move on. The number 3 that is going to be on this list is Runts. Runts is definitely well deserving of this spot, but if I say Runts, then I have to also say aka lemon cherry gelato, because lemon cherry gelato is technically Runts. So for anyone that wasn't informed about that, now you are. It is technically a cross between Skittles and Gelato 33, and that's what gives you lemon cherry gelato or Runts. So this one definitely deserves a spot on the list. I will say it's definitely really great if you can get the real batch of Runts. Number 4 is Cotton Candy Kush. This one right here is a interesting one because it definitely has a punch to it. It definitely has candy to it as well though, and this one is actually a cross of the Power Plant and the Lavender. This one right here is definitely more of an old school strain, and it deserves a spot on this list just due to the fact that it has that candy gas to it that is very appealing to anyone that likes stuff that's high in terpenes and just high in a great taste. So this one right here will definitely do that for you, which leads us on to number 5, which is the Candyland. Candyland is a cross between the GDP, which is Granddaddy Purple, and the Platinum Cookies. This one right here is definitely a strain that also packs a punch, but it has this sweet aroma and sweet taste that is just going to excite any candy lover. So this one right here, Candyland, may be hard to get and may be something that you may never try, but if you get the chance to try it from a good grower, jump on that chance. It's going to be something that you will be impressed by. So let's move on. The next one is Sweet Tooth. Sweet Tooth is a cross of the Hawaiian and Nepali. This one right here is definitely more of a classic old school strain, and it may even have more of a medical effect to it, but it's definitely going to have this sweet taste that is just kind of fruity, kind of like candy. It is definitely something that you can categorize in candy. It is something that I think is just incredibly sweet and just very appealing to anyone who loves great tasting strains, which definitely is a great segue into the next one, which is RS11. RS11 is a cross between the Pink Guava and the Sunset Sherbet. This one is very dope, because if you have any clue of Sunset Sherbet, it was made by mistake, and the pink guava has a lot of interesting history as well. So this is a historic strain in many ways, not only just because it tastes amazing, but it's also just, it's got a lot of great stuff in its lineage. This one right here is definitely well deserving of this spot. But that moves us on to Candy Kush, which is a cross of the Trainwreck and OG Kush. This one right here is definitely going to be more of that old school candy gas, but it's definitely going to have candy to it, where it's going to impress all of those real candy lovers that want something that's going to taste good, but it's also going to appeal to those people that want something that's going to punch them in the face too. So this one definitely will be the best of both worlds, which leads us on to the Caramel Candy Kush. The Caramel Candy Kush is a very interesting one, because this one is actually a cross of the pre-98 Bubba times Miss Universe, which just might surprise some people. Pre-98 Bubba being able to give off any candy taste, like, are you okay? Do you think you're do you really think that? And yes, I actually would say that confidently. I would say that the Caramel Candy Kush is definitely something that deserves its spot on this list. It is going to give off wild taste because of that Miss Universe, which makes a lot of sense. But with that pre-98 Bubba, it might confuse a lot of people, so try it before you say I'm wrong. That being said, let's move on. We have the Candy Cane. The Candy Cane is actually a cross of the AK-47, Mango, and White Widow. So where the taste is going to come from is obviously the mango, but also White Widow has this sweet taste if it's done proper, and AK-47 is just more of that gas, but you get hints of something special from there too. So the mixture of all of these three creates this godlike strain, which is the Candy Cane. It is just amazing to see how some gassy strains can be in the lineage and create something so wonderful and so unique, which is the perfect segue to the next strain. The next strain is Bubblegum. Bubblegum is just beyond good. There is the Indiana Bubblegum, there's different variations of Bubblegum, but what I'm talking about right now is the actual Bubblegum, which is a Afghani landrace times a unknown strain. It is definitely a strain that deserves a lot of love. This one right here smokes really nice and actually has this great candy gum-like taste that is just incredible. It is almost surprising that it's real. So this is a strain that is much deserving of this spot on this list. But let's move on. We have the Juicy Fruit, which is also coming from the Afghani, but it is the Afghani times Thai. This right here, the Juicy Fruit, is definitely a lot more fruity than it is candy, but it's called Juicy Fruit for a reason. It has that gum candy taste that is just very appealing, and it was actually doing really well down in Florida for a long time. Not too sure if this strain is still around at all, but this one right here is something that has been something I'm really searching for. I really want to try this one, and I've heard great things about it. Personally, I have never tried it, so I am saying that it belongs on this list solely for the fact of the descriptions that I've got from it. So just want to clarify that. Let's move on. Next strain is going to be the Creamsicle. Creamsicle actually has Juicy Fruit in its lineage, and honestly, the Creamsicle is a strain that will blow your mind. It is a cross of the Orange Crush and the Juicy Fruit. I've definitely tried this one plenty of times, and honestly, the medical effects that you get from this strain is just amazing. So the fact that it tastes amazing and it actually has a great high is really dope, and it's something that I miss a lot. I actually really wish I could have access to this one again. So now we're running low. We're down to the last few strains that actually deserve a spot as candy. So let's cover them. this strain that we're going to be covering right now is the Candy Cream, which is the blue black times maple leaf times white rhino. This is another one that I actually technically haven't tried personally, but this is something that I've read a lot about. The next one that we're going to be listing is the Blue Lobster. Blue Lobster is the apples and bananas times eye candy, which is actually something that was bred and grown originally in Maine, which is really cool. I'm out here in Massachusetts, and to have something like this blow up out in Maine is a surprise, but at the same time it is not that big of a surprise because of the hard work that everyone in Maine is putting in. So big respect to Maine, big respect to Maine trees for actually creating this one, and honestly this is doing huge numbers. It's really doing well, so very happy to see that. But that leads us to the eye candy as being one of the strains on this list. It is in the lineage of the Blue Lobster, and it is definitely a strain that might surprise some people. It is a cross of the menthol and the biscotti. This one right here is definitely a unique, interesting strain that will really have a lot of people just amazed, to say the least. This will definitely have a lot of people amazed, and I love biscotti, but seeing this have biscotti in the lineage surprised the hell out of me. So definitely very interested to try this one again. I only tried this one once, and I don't know if it was even a real batch, to be honest with you. It was from Backpack Boys. So let's move on. We have the Watermelon Skittles. Watermelon Skittles is a cross between watermelon and Skittles. This right here is literally candy. This is actual candy. This is something that you will be amazed by. And there also is watermelon gelato that has watermelon Skittles in the lineage, and it's times gelato 43, I believe, or 41 maybe, but I think it's gelato 43 that it's crossed with. Doesn't really matter. What we're talking about right now is the watermelon Skittles, and wow, this one not only deserves a spot on this list, but it's just very impressive. It is something that if you ever get the chance to try it, jump on that chance. You're gonna be just amazed. If you are someone who likes good tasting weed, this will just blow your mind. So to end it off, let's end it off with a really good strain, Cherry Runts. Cherry Runts is actually a cross of the cherry pie times Runts. This one right here definitely deserves a spot. I can't make a list without putting this one on there. This one right here is very nice. It is packing a decent punch, but it's also gonna have this amazingly sweet, savory taste that is just going to have you crawling back for more. It is literally so good. It is amazing how good Cherry Runts is as a strain, and if you have the opportunity to get a real batch of it, get it all. Let's just say it like that. But with all this being said, I definitely appreciate anyone who has made it all the way through this video. I definitely think that this is a necessary video to make, just to show people that there is a category of candy, and some of these made up nonsense names, such as, like, I could say so many different names, but let's just say, for example, like watermelon marshmallows. Like, if you see a strain like that, it isn't necessarily real. So please do your research on different strains. Stop supporting these scammers and actually support these people that are doing it proper. So big respect to everyone, much love to everyone, and happy Thanksgiving.